The diner stood quiet, sunlight glinting off freshly cleaned windows. Maya Brooks, a black woman running her grandmother's roadside rest stop, brewed coffee while her Rottweiler dozed loyally at her side. To passing gangs, the place looked like an easy target. Isolated, owner alone, no help for miles. They saw only fragility and opportunity, laughing as they strutted through her door. But what they didn't see was a Marine's training in her stance, calm precision in her eyes, and a partner forged in combat. When their intimidation turned to violence, their mistake shattered beneath the weight of her deadly resolve. Before we go any further, comment where in the world you are watching from, and make sure to subscribe, because tomorrow's story is one you don't want to miss. The morning sun streams through the wide windows, casting long shadows across the checkered floor. Maya's hands move in practiced circles over the laminate counter, the fresh scent of lemon cleaner mixing with brewing coffee. The familiar routine grounds her, just as it did when she watched her grandmother perform these same morning rituals years ago. Dino's steady breathing behind the counter provides a comforting rhythm to her work. His massive head rests on his paws, but his ears remain alert, tracking every move she makes. The bond between them, forged during their Marine days, runs deeper than simple pet and owner. The diner holds so many memories. Maya pauses at the far end of the counter, her hand brushing against a small nick in the surface where her grandmother's wedding ring once caught and scraped the laminate. She'd been mortified at marking her beloved counter, but now Maya treasures that tiny imperfection. It's one of the countless small details that make this place home. "What do you think, boy?" Maya murmurs to Dino. "Gonna be a quiet morning?" The Rottweiler's tail thumps once against the floor in response. He understands her tone more than her words, a skill honed through years of training and trust. Maya smiles, remembering how her grandmother had initially been wary of such a powerful dog, but had quickly fallen in love with his gentle nature. The coffee maker gurgles its last drops into the pot, filling the air with rich aromatics. Maya inhales deeply, savoring the scent that always reminds her of pre-dawn preparations with her grandmother. They'd work side by side, sharing comfortable silence as they readied the diner for another day of serving travelers and locals alike. She straightens the metal napkin holders, each one reflecting the strengthening sunlight. The highway outside remains empty for now, though she knows it won't stay that way for long. This stretch of road might be remote, but her diner serves as an essential pit stop for truckers, families on road trips, and locals who appreciate her grandmother's preserved recipes. The menu board behind the counter still features her grandmother's distinctive handwriting. Maya had carefully preserved it, tracing over the fading chalk with fresh strokes each month to maintain the illusion that nothing had changed. The prices have been updated, but the offerings remain the same. Simple, honest food that feeds both body and soul. Moving to the windows, Maya adjusts the blinds to manage the strengthening sunlight. Her reflection catches her eye. She sees traces of her grandmother in her own face now, especially in the determined set of her jaw and the watchful calm in her eyes. The military had shaped her physically, but her grandmother had shaped her spirit. "Coffee's ready, Dino," she announces, pouring herself a cup. The familiar ceramic mug, another inheritance from her grandmother, warms her hands as she takes her first sip. Perfect temperature, perfect strength. Some skills never fade. Behind the counter, Dino's ears suddenly prick forward. A moment later, Maya hears it too. The rumble of an approaching vehicle, followed by the crunch of tires on gravel. The sound is different from her regular customers' vehicles, heavier, more aggressive somehow. The bell above the door jingles sharply, the usual cheerful sound somehow discordant. 3 men enter, their boots landing heavy and deliberate on the tiled floor. The morning sunlight catches on tattoos, harsh faces, and a glint of metal partially concealed under leather jackets. Maya's combat-trained senses flash immediate warnings. These aren't typical customers looking for breakfast and coffee. Their stance is too wide, their movements too calculated. They spread out slightly as they enter, an unconscious tactical formation that speaks of practiced intimidation. The first man's eyes sweep the empty diner before settling on Maya with an intensity that has nothing to do with hunger for food. His lips curl into something that might be trying to pass for a smile, but comes across as a sneer. The second man moves toward the counter's far end, while the third lets the door swing shut behind him with unnecessary force. Dino remains perfectly still behind the counter, years of training keeping him silent and invisible. For now, Maya feels his presence like a secret weapon, but her face reveals nothing as she maintains her professional demeanor. Her pulse remains steady, her breathing controlled, just as she was trained. "Welcome to Brooks' Diner," Maya says evenly, her voice carrying the same pleasant tone she'd use with any customer. But her weight shifts slightly, her stance adjusting unconsciously into one that would allow for quick movement if needed. Her right hand remains relaxed near her coffee cup, but her fingers are ready to signal Dino if necessary. The morning sun continues to stream through the windows, creating a deceptively peaceful atmosphere that contrasts sharply with the mounting tension. The coffee maker gives one last steam-release sigh, punctuating the heavy silence that follows Maya's greeting. The lead man takes another step forward, his boot scuffing deliberately against the floor. His eyes never leave Maya's face, studying her with a predatory assessment that makes his intentions clear. The other two men maintain their positions, creating a loose triangle in the dining area that effectively cuts off easy paths to the door. Maya's mind catalogues details with military precision: the bulge of concealed weapons under jackets, the practiced way they move, the silent communication between them that suggests they're used to working together. These aren't random troublemakers. They're organized, coordinated, dangerous. The scent of fresh coffee and lemon cleaner still hangs in the air, a jarring reminder of the peaceful morning routine so recently shattered. Behind the counter, Dino remains invisible but ready, his muscles tense and his training primed. Maya keeps her expression neutral, her body language relaxed, but every nerve ending is alert, reading the room, calculating angles, waiting. The lead man slides onto a stool at the counter, his movements deliberately slow and menacing. Maya recognizes him now. Silas Carter, a name whispered with fear in local conversations. The other two spread out further. Ray Johnson, built like a boxer with scarred knuckles, and Duke Miller, younger and twitchy, his eyes darting between Maya and the exits. "What's good here, sweetheart?" Silas asks, his voice carrying a mocking sweetness that makes Maya's skin crawl. He drums his fingers on the counter, rings clicking against the laminate. "Everything on the menu is fresh," Maya responds professionally, keeping her voice steady. "The coffee's just brewed." Ray lets out a harsh laugh. "Coffee ain't what we're interested in." He leans against the far wall, arms crossed, blocking the path to the kitchen door. "Place is awful quiet," Duke adds, moving closer to the front entrance. "No other customers around to interrupt anything." Maya maintains her composed exterior, though her combat-trained mind is mapping escape routes and calculating threats. Her hand stays near her coffee cup, ready to signal Dino if needed. The morning rush hasn't started yet. Silas's smile widens, showing too many teeth. "That's real convenient, isn't it? Just you out here, all alone." He glances around the diner with exaggerated interest. "Nice place. Shame if something happened to it." "I'll take your order if you're eating," Maya says firmly. "Otherwise, I'll have to ask you to leave." Ray pushes off from the wall, his massive frame casting a shadow across the floor. "That ain't very hospitable." Your grandmother taught you better manners than that, didn't she? The mention of her grandmother sends a chill down Maya's spine, but she doesn't let it show. These men have been watching, gathering information. This isn't a random stop. Look at her playing tough, Duke snickers, his voice carrying a nervous edge despite his attempt at bravado. Maybe we should teach her how to treat customers right. Silas reaches across the counter, trying to grab Maya's wrist. She pulls back smoothly, years of training making the movement appear natural rather than defensive. "Don't touch me," she warns, her voice level but firm. "Or what?" Silas's face hardens, the pretense of civility dropping away. "You'll call the cops? Out here?" He laughs, and the sound is empty of humor. "Takes them what? 30 minutes to respond? If they bother coming at all?" Ray moves closer to the counter, his heavy boots echoing on the tile. "Maybe we should order something special, something not on the menu." His eyes roam over Maya in a way that makes his meaning clear. Duke fidgets by the door, watching through the windows. "Coast is clear, boss. No cars coming either direction." Maya's mind races through scenarios, evaluating options. Dino remains hidden, their ace in the hole, but timing will be crucial. These men are organized, dangerous, and clearly used to getting their way through intimidation and violence. "Last chance," Maya says calmly. "Leave now, or this gets ugly." Silas's face darkens with rage at her defiance. His fist slams down on the counter with explosive force, making the napkin holders rattle. "You don't give orders here anymore, girl." Ray circles around the counter, moving with the confidence of someone used to overwhelming others through sheer physical presence. "Time to take this outside. Teach you how things really work around here." Duke blocks the front door completely now, his nervous energy transformed into aggressive anticipation. Nobody to hear you out there. Nobody to help. Maya feels rough hands grab her arms. Ray from one side, Silas from the other. Their grips are bruising, confident in their physical dominance. They drag her toward the door, her feet scraping against the tile floor. "Let's show her what happens to people who don't cooperate," Silas growls, his fingers digging into Maya's arm. Duke holds the door open, glancing anxiously up and down the highway before nodding that it's clear. The morning sun feels suddenly harsh as they force Maya outside, gravel crunching under their boots. The parking lot stretches empty before them, the highway silent in both directions. Maya's diner stands alone against the landscape, isolated from help, but also free from civilian bystanders. The men's grips tighten as they drag her further from the building, their intentions becoming clearer with each step. "Should have just played nice," Ray sneers close to her ear. "Now we gotta do this the hard way." Silas laughs, a sound full of cruel anticipation. "Maybe after we're done, you'll understand how business really works out here." The gravel shifts under Maya's feet as they pull her along, the stones scraping against her shoes. The men's breathing is heavy with excitement and effort, their grips secure in their assumed victory. Duke trails behind them, keeping watch, but also eager to participate in what's coming. The distance from the diner grows with each forced step, the men confident in their control of the situation. They don't notice how Maya's resistance is measured, calculated, or how her eyes remain sharp and focused despite her apparent helplessness. The morning sun beats down on the scene, casting harsh shadows across the gravel lot. The air is thick with tension, and the men's growing anticipation of violence. They drag Maya further into the open space, their grips tight enough to leave bruises, their intentions written clearly in their cruel smiles and rough handling. Maya's back hits the rough brick wall of her diner, the impact sending a controlled burst of air from her lungs. She doesn't cry out, doesn't give them the satisfaction. Silas and Ray pin her arms, while Duke circles them like an excited hyena. His earlier nervousness transformed into cruel anticipation. "Not so tough now, are you?" Silas sneers, his face inches from hers. His breath smells of stale cigarettes and cheap whiskey. Time to learn your place in the food chain. Maya's military training kicks in automatically. She catalogs her surroundings with practiced precision. 3 hostiles, gravel lot providing unstable footing, diner wall at her back, morning sun casting their shadows long across the ground. The highway stretches empty in both directions. No witnesses, but also no civilians to worry about. Ray's grip tightens on her right arm, his scarred knuckles white with pressure. "Boss, we gonna do this right here?" His voice carries an edge of eager cruelty. "Why not?" Silas laughs, the sound echoing off the diner's walls. "Ain't nobody around for miles. Could take all day if we want." He runs a finger down Maya's cheek, and it takes every ounce of her discipline not to react. Duke bounces on his toes, glancing between the highway and the scene before him. "Man, this is better than I thought it'd be." Look at her trying to act brave. Maya keeps her breathing steady, her face a mask of calm that clearly unnerves them. She's been in worse situations, faced darker threats in combat zones. These men mistake her composure for fear, her stillness for submission. They don't understand they're playing into her hands. "Maybe we should give her a taste of what's coming," Ray suggests, his free hand moving toward Maya's throat. The gravel crunches under their boots as they press closer, their bodies forming a tight semicircle around her. The morning air carries the scent of their sweat, their cologne, their mounting aggression. Maya notes how Duke's position leaves a clear path to the diner's front door, an amateur mistake that will cost them. Silas grabs Maya's chin roughly, forcing her to look at him. "Last chance to beg, sweetheart. Might go easier on you if you show some proper respect." Maya meets his gaze steadily, her voice cold and clear. "You should have done your homework better." "What's that supposed to mean?" Duke asks, taking a half-step back at her tone. "Means you picked the wrong diner," Maya replies, her words carrying no hint of fear. "The wrong woman." Ray's laugh is harsh against her ear. "Listen to her. Still talking tough." His grip shifts slightly, anticipating resistance that hasn't come yet. "You know what your problem is?" Silas tightens his hold on her arm. "You think you're special. Think you can run this place without paying your dues, without showing respect to those who really control this stretch of road." Maya's eyes never leave Silas's face, even as she marks Ray's shifting position and Duke's nervous fidgeting. "No," she says calmly. "Your problem is you never asked why a woman runs a diner alone out here. Never wondered how I've survived this long." "Shut her up," Duke urges, his earlier bravado cracking slightly at Maya's unwavering composure. Silas raises his hand to strike her. "Maybe a few teeth less will teach you to—" Maya's whistle cuts through the morning air like a knife, sharp, commanding, and precise. The sound echoes off the diner's walls, and for a fraction of a second, confusion crosses the men's faces. The diner's door bursts open with explosive force. Dino emerges like a dark avalanche, 100 pounds of muscle and disciplined fury. His movement is focused, trained. Not the wild charge of a guard dog, but the coordinated attack of a military-trained companion. "What the f—" Duke's words cut off in a scream as Dino's jaws close around his forearm. The sound of tearing fabric mixes with the wet crunch of teeth meeting flesh. Ray releases Maya's arm, stumbling backward on the gravel. "Jesus Christ!" His eyes go wide with terror as Dino releases Duke and turns toward him, muzzle already stained red. Silas tries to use Maya as a shield, but she's already moving. Her elbow strikes his solar plexus with surgical precision, driving the air from his lungs. As he doubles over, Dino's growl fills the air, deep, threatening, and promising worse to come. Duke crawls backward on the gravel, leaving a trail of blood drops from his mangled arm. His face has gone pale, the swagger completely evaporated. "Call it off! Call the freaking dog off!" Ray backs away, hands raised, his previous confidence shattered by Dino's unwavering advance. The Rottweiler's muscles ripple under his black coat, every movement controlled and menacing. His training shows in how he positions himself between Maya and the threats, never letting his guard down. "Last chance," Maya's voice carries across the parking lot, steady and commanding. "Leave now!" Silas, still gasping for breath, stumbles toward his companions. Blood drips from Duke's arm onto the gravel, each drop a reminder of their miscalculation. Dino's growl rises in volume, promising more violence if they hesitate. The men scramble backward, their boots sliding on the gravel. Duke clutches his wounded arm to his chest, whimpering. Ray keeps his eyes locked on Dino, recognizing the difference between a simple guard dog and a trained military companion. Silas's face twists with rage and humiliation as they retreat. "This isn't over," Silas shouts, but the threat sounds hollow now. Dino takes one step forward, and the men nearly trip over themselves, backing away faster. They break into a run, Duke's pained gasps mixing with the sound of their feet on gravel. They pile into their car, engine roaring to life. Tires spin on the gravel, spitting stones as they peel onto the highway and accelerate away, leaving only blood drops and disturbed stones as evidence of their presence. Maya remains still for a moment, scanning the highway in both directions to ensure the gang members are truly gone. Only when she's certain does she turn her full attention to Dino, who stands alert at her side, his muscles still tense and ready. "Easy, boy," she murmurs, slowly kneeling beside him. Her hands move with practiced efficiency, checking him for any injuries. Despite her calm exterior, her fingers tremble slightly. Not from fear, but from the surge of adrenaline coursing through her system. It's a familiar feeling, one she hasn't experienced since her tours overseas. Dino's breathing begins to slow as Maya runs her hands through his thick fur, examining every inch. His muzzle is stained with blood, but none of it is his own. The Rottweiler's training shows in how he maintains his guard stance even while allowing her inspection, his eyes continuously scanning their surroundings. "Good boy," Maya says softly, her voice carrying the same tone she used during their training sessions years ago. "You did exactly what you were supposed to do." She scratches behind his ears, feeling the tension gradually ease from his powerful frame. The gravel crunches under her boots as she stands, her movements measured and controlled. The morning sun has climbed higher, casting shorter shadows across the parking lot. Blood spots dot the stones where Duke had fallen, telling the story of their confrontation in dark droplets. "Inside!" Maya commands, and Dino immediately moves toward the diner's entrance. She follows, her steps steady, despite the trembling that spread from her hands to her arms. She recognizes the signs of post-combat stress, the heightened awareness, the slight shake in her limbs, the metallic taste in her mouth. Her Marine training had prepared her for moments like these. Inside the diner, Maya moves with purpose. She locks the front door first, then methodically checks each window. The coffee pot still hums on its burner, the morning's preparations interrupted by violence. The sound seems surreal now, too normal for what just happened. In the bathroom, Maya wets a clean towel with warm water. Dino sits patiently as she cleans his muzzle, the white cloth turning pink. "You remember our training, don't you?" she says quietly, working carefully around his mouth. "Just like the exercises we did when I first got you. Protect and defend." Her mind drifts back to those training sessions years ago when she'd first returned from her final tour. Dino had been her anchor then, giving her purpose during the difficult transition to civilian life. She'd trained him using the techniques she'd learned from the military K-9 units, never imagining they'd need those skills here at her grandmother's diner. The trembling in her hands intensifies as the adrenaline begins to fade. Maya grips the edge of the sink, taking deep breaths like she was taught. In the mirror, she sees the Marine she used to be, composed, alert, ready for anything. But she also sees the diner owner she's become, the woman trying to honor her grandmother's legacy by keeping this place alive. "We're okay," she tells her reflection, then looks down at Dino. "We're okay." Moving to the kitchen, Maya fills a bowl with fresh water for Dino. The familiar routine helps steady her nerves. Check the grill, wipe down the counters, straighten the chairs. Each task brings her further back to center, though she maintains her tactical awareness. The empty highway stretches out beyond the windows, deceptively peaceful. She pulls out her phone, documenting the blood spots on the gravel while they're still fresh. The Marine in her knows the importance of gathering evidence, of being prepared for what might come next. Those men won't stay away forever. Their type never does. Their pride won't let them. Maya moves through the diner, checking her security cameras. They're basic models, installed after her grandmother passed, and she took over the place. Now she wishes she'd invested in better ones, with clearer resolution and better range. The morning's attack will be on film, but the quality might not be good enough to identify faces. As the hours pass, Maya keeps the diner closed. A few regular customers pull into the lot, but she waves them away with apologetic gestures. Dino stays close, moving from window to window, his vigilance matching her own. Each passing car draws their attention, each distant engine sound brings them to alert. The day stretches long, the sun arcing across the sky and beginning its descent. Maya uses the time to plan, to think through scenarios like she was trained. She checks her security systems, tests the locks, and calculates angles of approach to her building. The diner suddenly feels different. Not just her livelihood, but a potential battlefield. Evening brings a purple twilight, the highway emptying as night approaches. Maya begins her closing routine early, wanting everything secured before full dark. Dino watches from his spot near the counter as she counts the register, his ears perking at every sound from outside. She's just finishing wiping down the last table when she hears it. A truck engine, roaring louder than necessary, approaching fast. Maya drops into a crouch instinctively, her body responding to perceived threat before her mind can process it. Dino's low growl fills the diner. The truck's engine screams past, and for a split second, Maya sees it through the windows. Dark paint, no lights. Then comes the sound of shattering glass, sharp and violent in the evening quiet. The truck's engine fades into the distance, leaving behind an echo of destruction. Maya moves to the window, Dino at her side. In the failing light, she sees the broken glass scattered across her parking lot, glinting like deadly stars. Her eyes move to the wall, where fresh spray paint gleams wet and malicious. This ain't over. The next morning arrives with a gray drizzle that mutes the sunrise. Maya stands at her security system's monitor, installed hastily after yesterday's events. The screen's blue glow illuminates her face as she reviews the footage, her expression hardening with each passing frame. "Come here, Dino," she calls softly. The Rottweiler pads over, sitting at attention beside her chair. His presence steadies her as she leans forward, focusing on the nighttime recordings. The new cameras capture more than just her property. They show the stretch of highway and the shadowy areas behind the diner where the old systems couldn't reach. Maya's fingers move across the keyboard, rewinding and pausing with military precision. Her training taught her to look for patterns, to spot details others might miss. Around 2 a.m., movement catches her eye. She zooms in on the grainy footage. Two vehicles pull up behind the diner, parking in the darkness beyond the security lights. Maya recognizes one, the truck that had sped past during the vandalism. Her jaw tightens as she watches the gang members from yesterday emerge. Ray, Duke, and Silas, the latter still limping from Dino's attack. "Look at that boy," Maya mutters, scratching Dino's ears. "Your handiwork's still showing?" But her small smile fades as she watches the scene unfold. From the second vehicle, 3 more men step out. They're different, better dressed, more controlled in their movements. One carries a briefcase. Maya leans closer, adjusting the contrast. The men gather in a tight circle, their bodies language tense. Money changes hands, thick envelopes passing from the briefcase to the gang members. Maya's military training kicks in as she studies their behavior. These aren't random thugs looking for trouble. The precise movements, the organized meeting, the professional demeanor of the new arrivals, it all speaks to something larger, something organized. She switches camera angles, catching a glimpse of papers being examined under flashlight beams. Maps, maybe, or documents. The men point toward the highway, then to her diner. Their gestures become animated, aggressive. Maya's stomach tightens as she realizes they're not just plotting revenge, they're planning something bigger. The rain drums harder on the roof as Maya fast-forwards through hours of footage. More vehicles appear throughout the night. Trucks that slow down without stopping. Cars that circle the property multiple times. It's surveillance, she realizes. They're mapping her routines, her vulnerabilities. "This is coordinated," she says aloud, her voice barely a whisper. Dino's ears perk up at her tone. They're using this stretch of highway for something. The isolation that once made this location peaceful now feels dangerous. Miles of empty road in either direction, perfect for illegal operations. Maya stands, pacing the small office as she pieces it together. The gang members weren't just harassing her, they were testing her, seeing how she'd react. Her resistance has made her a problem, an obstacle to whatever they're running through this territory. The morning light strengthens outside, pushing through the rain clouds. Maya moves to the diner's main room, her boots silent on the tile floor. The place looks different now, every shadow holding potential threats. The long counter where locals gather for coffee, the booths where truckers rest during long hauls, it's all part of something she didn't see before. Her grandmother's photos line the walls, yellowed with age but carefully preserved. Maya stops in front of the largest one, her grandmother on opening day, proud and defiant in front of the newly painted diner. It was 1963, and a black woman owning a business on this highway had raised more than a few eyebrows. But she'd stood her ground, built something lasting. Dino whines softly, pressing against Maya's leg. She reaches down automatically to scratch his head, her eyes still fixed on the photograph. Her grandmother had faced down racism, threats, and harassment to keep this place running. She'd created a safe haven for travelers, a landmark of dignity and perseverance. In the photo's reflection, Maya sees herself, the former Marine who came home to preserve her family's legacy. The woman who thought she'd left combat behind, but now faces a different kind of war. Her training had prepared her for battle, but this fight feels more personal, more vital. The security footage plays in her mind. The secret meetings, the exchanged money, the calculated surveillance. This isn't about one incident or 3 angry men. It's about territory, control, and the kind of people who think they can take whatever they want through intimidation and violence. Maya's hand rises to touch the photograph's frame, feeling the worn wood under her fingers. Her grandmother's eyes seem to meet hers through the decades, carrying the same determination she feels building in her chest. "They're not going to take what you built," Maya says quietly, her words carrying the weight of a vow. This is our place, our home. Dino stands straighter beside her, as if understanding the gravity of her words. Her fingers tighten on the frame, knuckles whitening with resolve. I won't let them, she mutters, the words coming out like a soldier's oath. The diner around her isn't just a business anymore, it's a battleground, and she's been trained for this kind of fight. The morning drizzle turns into a steady rain as Maya moves with purpose through her diner. Her boots squeak against the wet floor as she carries planks of wood from her storage shed, stacking them near the windows. The familiar weight of her old tool belt settles around her waist, loaded with everything she needs to fortify her position. Stay alert, Dino, she commands softly. The Rottweiler's head snaps up, dark eyes scanning the parking lot through the windows. His muscular frame tenses at each passing car, but he holds his position just as he was trained. Maya starts with the windows, measuring twice before cutting the plywood. The electric saw winds through the morning quiet, and sawdust fills the air. She works methodically, her movements precise from years of military discipline. Each board gets secured with heavy-duty screws, turning the diner's vulnerable glass into reinforced barriers. This is just like building fighting positions in Afghanistan, she mutters to herself, driving another screw home. Except this time, I'm protecting my own ground. The memory of sandbagged walls and razor wire flashes through her mind, but she pushes it aside. Focus on the now, she reminds herself. Dino paces between windows as she works, his nails clicking on the tile floor. Every few minutes, he stops to press his nose against the gap between boards, sniffing the air. Maya appreciates his vigilance. 4 eyes are better than 2, especially when 2 of them can see in the dark. By midday, she's sweating despite the cool rain. The front windows are secured, leaving only narrow gaps for visibility. She steps back to examine her work, hands on her hips. The diner looks different now, less welcoming, more fortress-like. Part of her aches at the transformation, remembering how her grandmother always kept the windows sparkling clean to let in the morning light. It's temporary, she says to Dino, who looks up at her with understanding eyes, just until we handle this problem. But even as she says it, she knows things will never be quite the same. Moving to the doors, Maya installs heavy-duty deadbolts, the kind that can withstand a battering ram. Her fingers trace the solid metal, remembering similar locks on military compounds. She never thought she'd need this level of security here, but her training taught her to adapt to changing situations. The security system needs upgrading, too. Maya climbs carefully onto chairs and counters, running new cables and mounting additional cameras. Each one connects to both the recorder and her phone, giving her a complete view of her property. She positions them carefully, eliminating blind spots where someone might hide. "Watch my 6, boy," she calls to Dino as she works near the back door. The Rottweiler immediately moves to guard her exposed back, his attention fixed on the parking lot. Their teamwork is seamless, born from years of trust and training. The afternoon brings a break in the rain, and Maya takes the opportunity to reinforce the exterior. She installs motion sensor lights at strategic points, their bright beams ready to expose any nighttime visitors. The diner's walls get a fresh coat of paint to cover the gang's graffiti, erasing their attempt to mark their territory. Inside, she creates defensive positions, places where she can take cover if needed. The counter gets reinforced with steel plating on the customer side, hidden behind the wooden panels. She repositions tables to create clear lines of sight and easy escape routes. Every change is calculated, every modification serves a purpose. Just like setting up a forward operating base, she says to Dino, who watches her rearrange furniture. Except this time, we're defending home. The word catches in her throat. Home. This place is more than just a business. It's her heritage, her grandmother's legacy, her last connection to family. Maya takes a break to feed Dino and grab a quick meal herself. Sitting at the counter, she studies the security monitor feeds. The highway stretches empty in both directions, but she knows better than to let her guard down. Empty roads can turn dangerous in seconds. The afternoon wears on as she stocks emergency supplies behind the counter. First aid kit, flashlights, spare batteries. She checks her phone's connection to the cameras, making sure she can access the feeds from anywhere. Knowledge is power, and she intends to see them coming next time. Dino helps her test the new security measures, trying different approaches to the building while she monitors the cameras and lights. His powerful frame moves silently through the shadows until the sensors catch him, flooding the area with light. Maya notes the timing, adjusts the sensors, tests again. Everything must work perfectly. As the day progresses, her muscles ache from the work, but she pushes through. Military training taught her to ignore discomfort when there's a job to be done. Each completed task makes the diner more secure, more defensible. She won't be caught off guard again. The sun begins its descent, painting the sky in deep oranges and purples. Maya stands at the front window, peering through the narrow gap between boards. The highway stretches out before her, quiet and empty. Dino sits beside her, his presence solid and reassuring. The motion lights click on as darkness gathers, creating a perimeter of illumination around the diner. Through the security cameras, Maya watches the shadows lengthen across the parking lot. The transformed diner feels different now, stronger, ready for whatever comes. She knows they'll return. Men like that, humiliated and exposed, always come back. But this time, she'll see them coming. This time, she's prepared. Maya rests her hand on Dino's head, feeling his warmth, his steady strength. Together, they watch the highway through the gathering dusk, ready for whatever the night might bring. The distant rumble of engines breaks the night's silence. Maya, sitting behind the counter with Dino at her feet, looks up at the security monitors. 3 sets of headlights approach from the highway, cutting through the darkness like angry eyes. "Right on schedule," she mutters, reaching down to scratch Dino's ears. The Rottweiler's muscles tense under her touch, but he remains still, waiting for commands. The vehicles, 2 trucks and a car, pull into the parking lot, gravel crunching under their tires. The motion sensors activate, flooding the area with harsh white light. Maya watches through the cameras as familiar figures emerge. Ray, Duke, and Silas, along with 4 other men she doesn't recognize. "Look at this fortress," one of them shouts, his voice muffled through the reinforced walls. "Little girl thinks she's safe behind some boards." Laughter follows, mean and hollow. A bottle shatters against the front wall. Glass tinkles down onto the gravel, but the fortified windows hold firm. Maya's jaw tightens, but she keeps her breathing steady, just like she learned in combat training. Beside her, Dino's ears prick forward, but he doesn't move. "Come on out, jarhead." Ray's voice carries clearly through the night. "We know what you are. Think you're tough 'cause you played soldier?" Another bottle crashes against the wall, followed by the sharp crack of something heavier, probably a rock. Maya moves between the security feeds, tracking their positions. They're staying in the light for now, putting on a show. The engines rev aggressively, exhaust pipes thundering in the quiet night. It's psychological warfare, trying to make her feel trapped, overwhelmed. "You don't belong here." A new voice joins the chorus. "This is our territory." The racial slur that follows makes Maya's fingers curl into fists, but she forces them to relax. Getting angry is exactly what they want. Dino's low growl pulls her attention to a different monitor. 2 shadows detach from the group, moving along the edge of the light. They're heading toward the back of the diner, trying to use the noise out front as cover. "Good boy," Maya whispers to Dino, whose dark eyes are fixed on the screen. She reaches under the counter, wrapping her fingers around the smooth wood of her baseball bat. The weight feels good in her hands, solid, dependable. The harassment out front continues. More bottles crash against the walls, accompanied by revving engines and shouts. They're getting bolder, moving closer to the building. One of them pounds on the front door, rattling the new deadbolt. "Can't hide in there forever." Duke's voice carries over the noise. "Gonna burn you out like the cockroach you are." The threat sends a chill down Maya's spine, but her face remains calm. She's faced worse in war-torn villages halfway around the world. Through the cameras, she tracks the two men circling around back. They move with purpose, staying low, checking windows. These aren't just drunk thugs. They've done this before. Maya recognizes the tactical approach from her own training. The noise out front reaches a crescendo. Someone starts shooting bottles lined up on the hood of their truck, the gunshots echoing across the empty highway. They're trying to prove something, showing off their power in the darkness. Dino's growl deepens as the back door's handle jiggles. Maya watches through the camera as one man works on the lock while the other keeps watch. They think they're being clever, using the distraction up front to find a weak point. Maya moves silently through her diner, Dino at her heels. The bat feels lighter now, her grip sure and steady. The muscle memory from countless training sessions takes over. How to move, where to step, how to control her breathing. More bottles shatter outside. Someone starts kicking the front door repeatedly, the heavy boots thundering against metal. The new deadbolt holds firm, just as she knew it would. She designed this fortress for exactly this scenario. Through the gap between boards, Maya catches glimpses of the men out front. They're getting frustrated, their shows of force having no effect. That makes them dangerous. Wounded pride can make men do stupid things. Dino freezes, his head snapping toward the back door. Maya hears it too, the soft scrape of metal on metal. They're trying to pick the lock. Amateur work, but persistent. The noise out front covers their efforts, at least from the outside. Maya positions herself beside the door, bat ready. Dino takes his place on the other side, his powerful frame coiled like a spring. They've practiced this, know exactly how to handle intruders from any entrance. The pounding at the front continues. More racial slurs, more threats, more bottles breaking. But Maya's full attention is on the back door now. Through the camera feed on her phone, she watches the two men working on the lock, their faces lit by the harsh security lights. "Almost there," one whispers to the other. "Once we're in, she's done for." They don't realize every word carries through the new monitoring system she installed. Dino's growl rumbles deeper, vibrating through the floor. Maya tightens her grip on the bat, her body settling into a ready stance. Years of training, combat experience, and protective instinct merge into calm focus. They think they're hunting her, but they've walked right into her kill zone. The lock makes a final click. Maya sees the handle start to turn. Dino's muscles bunch, ready to launch. The bat feels like an extension of her arm now, perfectly balanced and waiting. This is her ground, her home, her fortress. And these men are about to learn exactly what it means to corner a Marine. The back door swings open slowly, and Maya lets them take that first step inside. The security light streams in behind them, casting long shadows across the kitchen floor. The first man enters low, a knife glinting in his hand. The second follows, reaching for something in his waistband. Maya strikes before they can adjust to the darkness. The bat whistles through the air, connecting with the first man's ribs with a satisfying crack. He doubles over, gasping, the knife clattering to the floor. In the same instant, Maya barks out, "Take him!" Dino launches from the shadows like a missile, 100 pounds of muscle and trained fury. The second man barely has time to yell before the Rottweiler slams into his chest, driving him backward onto the ground. Dino's powerful jaws clamp around his forearm, not crushing, but holding him in place with unmistakable authority. "Don't move," Maya commands, her voice steady and cold. The man beneath Dino freezes, feeling the pressure of those teeth through his jacket. His partner writhes on the floor, clutching his side, trying to draw breath through what must be at least 2 broken ribs. The noise from the front of the diner suddenly dies down. They've heard the commotion. Maya keeps her attention split between her captives and the security feed on her phone. The group out front is moving, spreading out, trying to figure out what's happening to their friends. "Call them off," the man pinned by Dino wheezes. "Please, call off the dog." Sweat beads on his forehead as Dino's growl vibrates through his entire body. "Not yet," Maya says, stepping closer. Her phone is recording everything, capturing their faces in the harsh security light. "First, you're going to tell me exactly who sent you." The man with the broken ribs tries to crawl toward the door. Maya plants her boot firmly on his back, pressing him into the floor. He groans, but stops moving. "Nobody sent us," he gasps. "We just wanted to scare you." "Wrong answer." Maya increases the pressure slightly. "You're too organized, too practiced. This isn't your first time doing this to someone's business, is it?" Through her phone, she watches the men out front splitting up, some heading toward the back of the building. They're moving cautiously now, unsure what they're walking into. The sound of their boots on gravel comes through clearly in the night air. "You don't understand what you're getting into," the man under Dino says, his voice tight with pain and fear. "You're just one woman. You can't stop all of—" His words cut off in a yelp as Dino adjusts his grip, teeth pressing just a fraction harder. "I'm not just one woman," Maya corrects him. "I'm a highly trained Marine with nothing left to lose and everything to protect. And you're going to learn what that means." Footsteps approach the back door. Maya sees them on her phone, 3 men, moving in a triangle formation. They think they're being tactical, but to her trained eye, they're amateurs playing at being soldiers. "Last chance," she tells her captives. "Tell your friends to back off, or this gets much worse for everyone." The man with the broken ribs finally finds his voice. "Duke!" he shouts toward the door. "Stay back! She's got us! The dog! Just stay back!" Maya hears cursing outside, followed by urgent whispers. On her phone screen, she watches them hesitate, weapons half raised, clearly not prepared for this level of resistance. They'd expected to find a frightened woman hiding in her diner, not a combat veteran with a trained attack dog. "Here's what's going to happen," Maya says, her voice carrying clearly to everyone inside and out. "You're all going to leave, now, and you're going to tell whoever sent you that this place is off limits. If you come back, what happens next will make tonight look like a warm-up." "You can't!" The man under Dino starts to protest, but Maya cuts him off. "I already am. And everything, your faces, your threats, your attempted break-in, it's all recorded. Right now, it's uploading to a secure server. If anything happens to me or my diner, that footage goes straight to every law enforcement agency and news outlet in 3 states. She lets that sink in for a moment. Through her phone, she watches the men outside backing away, their confidence shattered. They'd come expecting to be the predators, not the prey. "Dino, release," Maya commands. The Rottweiler immediately lets go of the man's arm, but stays poised over him, teeth bared. "Get up. Slowly. Take your friend and get out." The 2 men scramble to their feet, the one with broken ribs leaning heavily on his partner. They stumble toward the door, casting fearful glances at Dino. Maya follows them out, bat ready, watching through her phone as the group retreats to their vehicles. Engines roar to life. Tires spin on gravel. Within moments, they're gone, leaving only broken glass and tire tracks as evidence of their visit. Maya stays in the doorway until their taillights disappear down the highway, Dino a solid presence at her side. Back inside, Maya locks down the diner and checks her security system. The footage has already uploaded to her encrypted cloud storage. Every threat, every face, every attempt at intimidation preserved in high definition. She plays back a segment, watching herself take down the intruders with practiced efficiency. "Good boy," she murmurs to Dino, scratching behind his ears. The Rottweiler leans against her leg, still alert, but calmer now. He'd performed exactly as trained, controlled, but intimidating. Maya allows herself a small smile as she saves multiple copies of the footage. It's not a major victory. She knows they'll be back, probably with more men and bigger weapons. But for tonight, she's shown them that she's not an easy target. She's demonstrated that this diner, this legacy from her grandmother, won't fall to their intimidation. She rubs her shoulder where she'd swung the bat, already feeling the muscle tightening. A small price to pay for sending such a clear message. Tonight, at least, she's reminded them that some prey bites back. The morning sun filters through the newly repaired windows, casting long shadows across the diner's worn linoleum floor. Maya moves methodically through her opening routine, muscles still sore from last night's confrontation. Dino follows her closely, his nails clicking against the tile as she checks the locks and security cameras one more time before flipping the closed sign to open. The bell chimes softly as Earl, one of her oldest regulars, pushes through the door. His weathered trucker's cap sits low on his forehead as he slides onto his usual stool at the counter. Maya can see the concern in his eyes before he even speaks. "Heard there was some trouble last night," Earl says quietly, accepting the coffee she pours without being asked. "Whole town's talking about it." Maya keeps her face neutral, focusing on wiping down the already clean counter. News travels fast. Always does. Earl wraps his calloused hands around the mug. "Listen, Maya, my route takes me past here 4 times a week. You need anything, you just say the word." She nods, touched by the offer but knowing she can't put others at risk. "I appreciate that, Earl." The morning progresses slowly, regulars trickling in one by one. Each carries the same worried look, the same careful way of broaching the subject. Sarah, who works at the hospital 2 towns over, leaves an extra 20 under her plate. Tom, the retired mechanic, spends an hour longer than usual at his table, watching the door like an unofficial security guard. Around noon, Mrs. Henderson comes in with her grandson. She's been coming to the diner since Maya's grandmother ran it, ordering the same tuna melt every Thursday. Today, she reaches across the counter and grabs Maya's hand. "My Harold," she says, referring to her late husband. "He always said this place was special. A light in the dark for weary travelers." Her grip tightens. "Don't let them put that light out, dear." Maya swallows hard, remembering her grandmother saying something similar years ago. "No, ma'am, I won't." The afternoon brings Bill, a local contractor, who slides onto a stool and orders his usual burger. While Maya works the grill, he clears his throat. "Got some spare plywood in my truck. Could reinforce those back windows proper if you want." "How much?" Maya asks, flipping the burger. "Nothing." Bill shakes his head firmly. "Your grandmother gave my kids free meals when I was laid off 10 years back. About time I returned the favor." Maya starts to protest, but Bill raises his hand. "Won't take no for an answer. Besides," he glances at Dino, who's watching from his spot behind the counter. "Figure it's the least I can do to help keep you and the big fella safe." After Bill leaves, Having refused payment for both the food and the plywood he installed, Maya finds an envelope tucked under his plate. Inside is $300 cash and a note. Don't let them scare you off. The gesture brings unexpected tears to her eyes. She'd been so focused on defending herself, she'd forgotten she wasn't completely alone. The diner isn't just her grandmother's legacy. It's part of the community, a safe haven for people who've come to depend on it. Late afternoon brings Pete, a retired sheriff's deputy who now drives a school bus. He takes longer than usual with his coffee, speaking in low tones about security measures and sight lines. Keep your cameras running, he advises. Document everything. And Maya? He leans in closer. Don't trust the current sheriff. He's got connections we don't talk about. Maya nods, having already suspected as much from her security footage. She watches Pete leave, his words confirming her fears about how deep this problem might go. As the sun begins to set, casting orange light through the windows, Maya finds herself emotionally drained from the day's steady stream of support and concern. Each interaction has been a reminder of what she's fighting for. Not just her own survival, but the preservation of something larger, something that matters to more people than she'd realized. She makes a fresh pot of coffee, needing the familiar ritual to center herself. Dino has finally relaxed enough to doze behind the counter, his steady breathing a comforting presence in the quiet diner. Maya leans against the counter, cradling her mug, and allows herself to really look at her domain. The new plywood reinforcements barely show behind the curtains. The security cameras are discreet but vigilant. The counter still gleams, the coffee still steams, and the neon open sign still casts its warm glow onto the highway. Despite everything, she's kept it running, kept it safe. For the first time since the initial attack, Maya feels something close to peace. The support of her regulars has reinforced what she already knew. This place is worth fighting for. Their quiet acts of solidarity have strengthened her resolve more than any weapon could. She watches Dino sleep, his powerful frame rising and falling with each breath. In sleep, he looks almost gentle, though she knows he can switch to defender mode in an instant. Like her, he's learned to find moments of rest while staying ready for whatever comes next. Maya sips her coffee, savoring the warmth and familiar taste. For just a moment, she allows herself to feel safe, protected not. Just then, headlights flash across the window, followed by the sound of shattering glass. Maya's moment of peace explodes into chaos as a bottle crashes through the front window, flames erupting instantly where it lands. The acrid smell of gasoline fills the air. "Dino, up!" Maya commands sharply. The Rottweiler springs to his feet as another flaming bottle smashes through a different window. Fire spreads rapidly across the vinyl floors, consuming tables and chairs with frightening speed. Smoke begins to fill the diner, thick and choking. Maya's military training kicks in. She drops low, keeping below the worst of it. "Back door," she orders Dino, who's already moving in that direction, hackles raised. The heat intensifies as Maya crawls toward the kitchen, her eyes stinging. She can hear engines revving outside, mocking laughter carrying through the broken windows. Another crash sends glass spraying across the counter. The flames are everywhere now, eating through decades of memories. Her grandmother's photo on the wall catches fire, the frame crackling as it burns. Maya forces herself not to watch it disappear. She has to focus on survival. The kitchen is filling with smoke, too. Maya pulls her shirt over her nose, trying to filter the toxic air. Grease fires have started on the grill, adding to the inferno. The exit sign above the back door glows eerily through the haze. Dino whines urgently, pressing against the door. Maya reaches it, fumbling with the lock as the heat becomes unbearable. Her fingers feel clumsy, panic threatening to override her training. Finally, the door swings open, and they stumble out into the cool night air. Maya doubles over, coughing violently as her lungs try to expel the smoke. Dino presses against her leg, alert for threats despite his own distress. She can hear the fire roaring inside the building, see the orange glow reflecting off nearby trees. Distant sirens wail as Maya staggers further from the burning diner. Her eyes water. From smoke or tears, she's not sure anymore. Everything she's fought to protect is going up in flames. The legacy her grandmother built, the safe haven she maintained, all of it burning. The fire trucks arrive first, red lights painting the scene in surreal flashes. Firefighters jump into action, unrolling hoses and shouting commands. Maya watches numbly as they battle the blaze, Dino a solid presence at her side. An EMT tries to lead her to an ambulance, but Maya refuses to move. She needs to witness this, needs to remember every detail. Through the chaos, she notices a familiar truck pulling up, Sheriff Tate's patrol vehicle. He takes his time getting out, adjusting his belt with deliberate slowness as he surveys the scene. His boots crunch on broken glass as he approaches Maya, his expression more annoyed than concerned. "Quite a mess you've got here," he drawls, thumbs hooked in his belt loops. "Though can't say I'm surprised. Way things have been going." Maya stares at him, still coughing occasionally. "Someone firebombed my diner," she manages to say. "So you say." The sheriff's eyes narrow. "But way I hear it. You've been the one causing trouble, attacking folks with that dog of yours." He glances at Dino, who growls low in his throat. "They attacked me first," Maya protests, her voice hoarse from smoke. "I have security footage." "Which conveniently went up in flames, I expect." Sheriff Tate cuts her off. "Listen here, Ms. Brooks. I'm getting tired of reports about you and that animal threatening people. Using a trained attack dog as a weapon, that's a serious offense." Maya straightens up, fighting back another cough. "Dino was defending me from assault." Those men, the sheriff interrupts again, "claim you've been harassing them. And now there's property damage, assault charges pending." He steps closer, lowering his voice. "You'd be smart to stop pushing this. Next time that dog of yours bites someone, might have to put him down. Be a shame if you got charged as an accessory, too." The threat hangs in the air between them. Maya feels ice in her veins despite the heat of the nearby flames. She looks at the sheriff, really looks at him, and sees the truth laid bare. He's not here to help. He's here to make sure she understands her place. The firefighters shout that they've got the blaze under control, but Maya barely hears them. She's watching Sheriff Tate's satisfied smirk as he turns away, catching the subtle nod he gives to a truck parked in the shadows across the highway. Everything becomes crystal clear in that moment. The law isn't neutral here. It's a weapon being used against her. The sheriff isn't just turning a blind eye to the gang's activities, he's actively protecting them. The system itself is corrupt, designed to keep people like her vulnerable and afraid. Maya stands in the parking lot of her burning diner, Dino pressed against her leg, and watches Sheriff Tate climb back into his truck. The message is clear: fight back, and the law itself will become her enemy. She has no illusions now about justice coming from official channels. They've made sure she understands that the rules don't apply equally to everyone. Maya sits on the cold concrete curb, her shoulders slumped as she watches thin wisps of smoke rise from the blackened shell of her diner. The firefighters have mostly cleared out, leaving behind the acrid stench of burnt dreams and wet ash. Dino rests his heavy head on her lap, his warm presence both comforting and painful, a reminder of everything they almost lost tonight. Her fingers move mechanically through his fur, finding the familiar pattern that usually soothes them both. But tonight, it's not enough to calm the storm inside her. The weight of it all presses down on her chest, making each breath feel like a battle. "What would Grandma think now?" she whispers, her voice cracking. The diner had been more than just a business to her grandmother. It was a sanctuary she'd built from nothing, a place where travelers could find a warm meal and a friendly face. Maya remembers sitting at the counter as a little girl, watching her grandmother serve plate after plate with that unwavering smile. The memory hits her like a physical blow. The vintage photos that once lined the walls, all gone. The hand-painted signs her grandmother had commissioned from local artists, destroyed. The worn recipe book, edges softened by decades of use, nothing but ashes now. Each loss feels like a knife twisting deeper. Dino whines softly, picking up on her distress. He shifts closer, pressing his solid warmth against her side. Maya scratches behind his ears, grateful for his steady presence. At least they made it out alive. At least she still has him. The night air grows colder, but Maya barely notices. Her mind keeps replaying the sheriff's threats, each word dripping with smug authority. The system she once believed in, the law she'd sworn to protect as a Marine, now stands against her. The irony tastes bitter in her mouth. A car passes on the highway, headlights briefly illuminating the devastation. Maya sees the extent of the damage in that flash, broken windows like jagged teeth, walls stained black with smoke, the proud sign her grandmother had hung 40 years ago now, hanging crooked and charred. The tears finally come, hot and angry. Maya doesn't try to stop them. She lets them fall, each one carrying the weight of her fury and heartbreak. Dino shifts, trying to lick her face, but she gently pushes him back. "I know, boy," she murmurs, her voice thick. "I know you're trying to help." The diner had been her anchor after leaving the Marines. When the nightmares of combat kept her awake, she'd come down and bake pies until dawn, just like her grandmother taught her. When the world felt too loud, too chaotic, the routine of running the diner gave her purpose. Now that routine lies in ruins, along with everything else. Maya's hand trembles as she wipes her face. The moisture on her fingers could be tears or soot. She's not sure anymore. Her throat burns from smoke inhalation, each breath a reminder of how close they came to not making it out. A piece of debris shifts in the wreckage, making a hollow sound as it falls. The noise echoes in the empty parking lot, emphasizing the devastating stillness that settled over everything. This morning, the diner had been alive with the clatter of plates and the hum of conversation. Now it stands silent, a blackened skeleton of its former self. Dino suddenly lifts his head, ears perking forward. Maya follows his gaze, but sees nothing in the darkness. Still, his alertness reminds her of their training together, of the countless hours spent honing their partnership. They've faced worse odds before, survived more dangerous situations. The thought stirs something in her chest. Not hope, exactly, but determination. She thinks about her grandmother again, but this time she remembers different moments. The day a supplier tried to cheat her, and she stood her ground. The night a drunk customer got rough, and she threw him out herself. The morning she found the kitchen vandalized and simply rolled up her sleeves to clean it. "We don't quit," she'd always said. "Brooks women don't break." Maya's fingers find the dog tag still hanging around her neck, tucked beneath her smoke-stained shirt. The metal is warm against her skin, a reminder of who she is, not just her grandmother's granddaughter, but a Marine. Someone who's faced death and fear and came out stronger. The gang, the sheriff, the corrupt system. They think they've won. They expect her to run, to break under the pressure. Maybe that would be the smart thing to do. But smart isn't always right. Her grandmother didn't build this place by being smart. She built it by being stubborn, by refusing to let anyone tell her what she couldn't do. She built it by standing her ground when others said a black woman had no business running a diner on her own. Maya watches another curl of smoke rise into the night sky. Her tears have dried, leaving tracks through the soot on her face. Beside her, Dino remains alert, ready for whatever comes next. His loyalty never wavers, his strength never falters. She feels something hardening inside her, like steel being tempered in fire. The diner may be damaged, but its foundation still stands. Just like her. Just like her grandmother's legacy. Maya stands slowly, her muscles protesting after sitting so long on the cold concrete. She wipes her face with the back of her hand, smearing soot and dried tears. Dino rises with her, powerful and steady at her side. "We survived war zones," she mutters, her voice low but firm. "We're not done. Not by a long shot." Maya moves through the charred ruins of her diner with practiced silence, her boots barely making a sound on the ash-covered floor. The morning sun filters through broken windows, casting strange shadows across the destruction. Dino follows close behind, his nails clicking softly against the tiles that survived the fire. She reaches under a partially burned counter and pulls out a heavy duffel bag, her emergency kit from her Marine days. The familiar weight of it in her hands brings back memories of setting up defensive positions in hostile territory. This time, she's defending her home ground. "Just like old times, boy," she whispers to Dino, who watches her with attentive eyes. The dog's posture changes subtly, picking up on her shift from grief to tactical focus. Maya unzips the bag, revealing a collection of tools and equipment she'd hoped never to need again. Wire, battery-powered motion sensors, emergency lights, and other supplies she'd kept ready, just in case. Her training had taught her to always be prepared, even if civilians called it paranoid. She starts at the back door, working methodically. The wire goes low, just above ankle height, connected to a small battery-powered alarm. Anyone trying to sneak in would trip, making enough noise to wake the dead. Maya tests the tension carefully. Too loose, and it might not trigger. Too tight, and it might be visible. "Guard!" she commands softly, and Dino takes up position watching the front entrance while she works. His ears prick forward, alert for any sound of approach. Moving to the broken windows, Maya sets up infrared sensors in the shadows of the remaining frames. They're small, easily missed unless you know what to look for. Each one connects to a silent alarm that will vibrate the phone in her pocket. She learned in combat that sometimes silence is better than noise. Let the enemy think they're being clever right until it's too late. Her hands move with muscle memory as she rigs each entrance. The work keeps her focused, keeps her from dwelling on the destruction around her. Every so often, she catches a whiff of smoke that makes her throat tighten, but she pushes through it. There's no time for emotion now. In what's left of the kitchen, Maya finds her father's old gun safe, miraculously intact beneath fallen debris. The combination comes to her fingers naturally, her father's service number, something she memorized as a child. Inside, wrapped in oiled cloth, lies his Remington 870 shotgun. She lifts it carefully, checking the mechanism. Her father had kept it immaculate, and she'd maintained that standard after his passing. The weight feels right in her hands, familiar from the times he'd taught her to shoot out in the desert behind their old house. "This is our heritage," he'd told her. "Not just the weapon, but the responsibility that comes with it." Maya loads the shotgun with deliberate precision, each shell a promise. She's not looking for a fight, but she's done running, done hiding, done letting them think they can take what's hers without consequences. The next few hours pass in a blur of tactical preparation. She sets up battery-powered cameras in new locations, hiding them among the debris where they won't be easily spotted. Some face outward, covering the approaches to the diner. Others watch the interior, ensuring no blind spots where someone could slip through unnoticed. As she works, Maya catalogs her advantages. She knows every inch of this place, even in its ruined state. She knows which floorboards creak, which shadows are deepest, which angles provide the best cover. This is her territory, and she intends to use that knowledge. Dino stays close, understanding the seriousness of their task. His training kicks in. He moves quietly now, his usual playful demeanor replaced by professional focus. When Maya hand signals him to check different areas, he responds instantly, proving that their years of working together haven't been forgotten. By late afternoon, the diner has been transformed. To an untrained eye, it still looks like a burned-out shell. But Maya has turned it into a defensive position that would make her old combat instructors proud. Every entrance is covered, every approach monitored. She's created choke points where the debris forces visitors to take predictable paths, making them easier to track. As the sun begins to set, Maya does one final check of her preparations. The shotgun rests within easy reach, loaded but with the safety on. Her phone shows clear feeds from all cameras. The motion sensors are active, their small lights barely visible in the growing darkness. She finds a position that gives her a clear view of both entrances while keeping her hidden in the shadows. The remains of an overturned booth provide decent cover, and the angle keeps her back protected by one of the few intact walls. Dino settles beside her, his body tense but controlled. In the dim light, his dark fur makes him nearly invisible. Only his eyes catch the occasional glint of light, alert and watchful. Maya checks her watch, 8:47 p.m. Night is falling fast now, turning the diner into a maze of deeper shadows. The highway outside grows quieter as traffic thins out. Soon, only the occasional truck breaks the silence, its headlights briefly illuminating the interior before passing on. She sits perfectly still, her breathing steady and controlled. The waiting is familiar. She's done this before, through long nights in far more dangerous places. Dino's warmth against her leg keeps her grounded, reminds her that she's not alone in this fight. The shadows lengthen and deepen as full night descends. Maya remains motionless, patient, ready. She knows they'll come. Men like that can't resist trying to prove their dominance, especially after being humiliated. They'll want to finish what they started, to show her that their threats weren't empty. Let them come, she thinks. This time, she's ready for them. The distant rumble of engines breaks the midnight silence. Maya's hand instinctively moves to her pocket, feeling the phone vibrate. Perimeter sensors triggered. 3 vehicles approaching from the highway, moving slow. Through the camera feed, she recognizes the distinctive outline of the gang's trucks. Dino's muscles tense beneath his fur, but he remains silent. Maya had trained him well. No barking, no growling, nothing to give away their position. She watches through the broken windows as the trucks pull into the gravel lot, headlights cutting through the darkness. The gang members emerge from their vehicles, more than before. Maya counts 6 shapes in the darkness. They carry baseball bats, chains, and what looks like gasoline cans. Their footsteps crunch on broken glass as they approach the diner's entrance. Come out! Come out, wherever you are! Ray's voice carries through the night air, mock playful. We know you're still hanging around here, girl. Ain't got nowhere else to go, do you? Maya remains motionless in her hidden position, controlling her breathing just like she'd learned in combat training. Let them come closer. Let them think they have the advantage. Look what you made us do to your pretty little diner, Duke calls out, his voice thick with false sympathy. Should have just played nice from the start. Now, We gotta finish the job proper. The gang spreads out, moving with the confidence of predators who think their prey is cornered. They kick through debris, shine flashlights into dark corners. Maya watches through her camera feeds as they begin to enter the building, their movements becoming more cautious as they adjust to the darkness inside. "Smell that smoke?" Silas laughs, running his bat along a burned wall. "That's what happens when you don't show proper respect. But don't worry, we're gonna teach you all about respect tonight." The men move deeper into the diner, their flashlight beams dancing across charred surfaces. They haven't noticed the thin wires near their feet, the small sensors tucked into shadows, the cameras tracking their every move. Maya's hand tightens slightly on Dino's collar, holding him steady. "Maybe she ran off after all," one of the newer gang members suggests, sounding disappointed. "Ain't nothing left here but ashes." "Nah, she's here," Ray responds, his voice carrying clear authority. "This place was her grandma's. These types, they get all sentimental about family shit. She's around somewhere, probably crying over her burned-up memories." Maya feels a flash of anger at his words, but she channels it into focus. She watches them spread out further, moving exactly where she wanted them to go. The debris she'd carefully arranged forces them to take specific paths, clustering them together in predictable ways. "Found something," one calls out, pointing his flashlight at fresh boot prints in the ash. Maya had left those deliberately, leading them deeper into her trap. The gang follows the trail, their earlier caution giving way to excitement. They think they're closing in on her, never realizing they're the ones being hunted. Maya checks her phone one last time. All cameras operational, all sensors ready. "Come on out, girl," Ray calls again, his voice harder now. "Make it easier on yourself. We already burned this place down once. What's left to protect?" The men reach the center of the diner, exactly where Maya had planned. Their flashlights sweep the darkness, casting long shadows that dance across the walls. They're bunched together now, surrounding what they think are fresh signs of her presence. "Maybe we should light up what's left," Silas suggests, shaking his gasoline can. "Smoke her out proper this time." Maya's thumb hovers over her phone screen. Everything is in position. The gang stands in the kill zone, their backs to the main sources of cover. They're confident, relaxed, believing they have all the power. "Last chance," Ray announces, his voice echoing in the burned-out space. "Show yourself now, or we're gonna have to get real creative with how we find you." Through the camera feeds, Maya watches them spread out slightly, preparing to begin a more thorough search. They're still grouped close enough. Perfect. Her finger moves to the screen, ready. "Your dog can't protect you forever," Duke adds with a cruel laugh. "We brought something special for that mutt this time." Dino's muscles coil tighter, but he maintains his silence. Maya takes one final breath, remembering all her training, all the nights she spent preparing for this moment. They thought they could break her, drive her away from her home, destroy her grandmother's legacy. They thought wrong. Ray raises his baseball bat, preparing to smash what remains of a counter. "Time's up, girl. We're gonna—" Maya's thumb hits the screen. Instantly, powerful LED floodlights burst to life, strategically placed to blind anyone standing in the center of the diner. The gang members cry out, raising their hands to shield their eyes. In the same moment, hidden speakers blast an ear-splitting mix of alarms and sirens, disorienting them further. The gang stumbles, cursing and confused. Their flashlights drop, their weapons lower. They're exactly as Maya planned, blind, deaf, and unprepared. "Now!" Maya commands, and Dino launches forward like a dark missile, his training transforming him from quiet companion to weapon of war. His powerful form closes the distance in seconds, teeth bared, completely silent, until the moment of impact. The trap is sprung. The hunters have become the hunted, and in the chaos of light and sound, Maya rises from her position, shotgun ready, knowing the real fight is about to begin. The chaos erupts in a symphony of violence. Ray swings wildly in the blinding light, his baseball bat cutting through empty air. Dino's massive form crashes into him from the side, powerful jaws clamping down on his weapon arm. The crack of bone mingles with Ray's scream as the bat clatters to the floor. "Get it off! Get it off!" Ray howls, but his fellow gang members are too disoriented to help. Dino's training shines through. He doesn't maul unnecessarily, just clamps down and drags Ray to the ground, holding him there with crushing force. Maya moves like a shadow through the artificial daylight, her boots silent on the ash-covered floor. Duke stumbles backward, firing wild punches at shadows. She sidesteps his clumsy swing and strikes with marine precision, a sharp blow to his kidney, followed by an elbow to the base of his skull. He crumples without a sound. Two of the newer gang members rush her together, swinging chains. Maya drops and rolls, decades of training taking over. The chains whistle harmlessly overhead as she comes up behind them. A swift kick to the back of one man's knee sends him sprawling. As his partner turns, Maya's fist connects with his throat. He doubles over, gasping, and a knee to his face puts him down hard. The remaining gang member panics, scrambling for the exit. He trips one of Maya's wires, triggering another set of lights that leave him staggering blind. She catches him with a precise strike to the solar plexus, following up with an efficient combination that leaves him unconscious beside his friends. Only Silas remains standing, his gasoline can forgotten on the floor. He's backed himself into a corner, eyes wild, all his earlier bravado evaporated. The LED lights cast harsh shadows across his face as he fumbles for something in his jacket. "Don't," Maya's voice cuts through the chaos like steel. Her shotgun levels at his chest. "Hands where I can see them." Silas freezes, then slowly raises his hands. A small revolver falls from his jacket, clattering to the floor. Maya kicks it away without taking her eyes off him. "You stupid bitch," he spits, but his voice trembles. "You have no idea what you've done. The people I know." "Shut up," Maya interrupts, her tone deadly calm. "On your knees. Slow." Behind her, Dino maintains his grip on Ray, who's stopped struggling and lies whimpering on the floor. The other gang members remain motionless, some groaning, others silent. The smell of blood and fear fills the air. "The sheriff," Silas tries again. "Your pet sheriff isn't coming," Maya cuts him off. "But plenty of cameras are recording right now, including the ones that caught you planning the firebombing last week. Now, knees." Silas's legs buckle, and he sinks to the floor. His eyes dart around, looking for escape routes, but finding none. Maya produces a handful of heavy-duty zip ties from her pocket. "Face down," she orders. "Hands behind your back." When he hesitates, she steps closer, the shotgun unwavering. "I spent 3 tours in combat zones worse than anything you can imagine. You really want to test me?" Silas lies down, his cheek pressing against the dirty floor. Maya secures his wrists with practiced efficiency, then moves to the others. One by one, she zip-ties the unconscious gang members, checking their restraints twice. Ray continues to whimper as she approaches him and Dino. "Call off your dog!" "My arm!" "Dino, release!" Maya commands. The Rottweiler immediately lets go, but remains poised to strike if needed. Maya zip-ties Ray's wrists as he sobs about his mangled arm. She retrieves her phone, making sure every camera has a clear view of the scene. The gang lies scattered across the diner floor, bound and defeated. Blood from various injuries mingles with the ash and debris, but none of their wounds are life-threatening, exactly as she'd planned. "You know what the funny thing is?" Maya says, walking slowly around her captives. "I gave you every chance to leave me alone. You could have just let me run my diner in peace. But you had to push, had to prove how tough you were." She stops in front of Silas, who glares up at her with hatred and fear. "And now look at you, taken down by the woman you thought was an easy target. How's that for respect?" The sound of distant sirens begins to float through the night air. Maya had timed everything perfectly. Her automated system would have called the state police the moment she triggered the trap. No corrupt local sheriff this time. "Those are state troopers coming," she informs her captives. "They've got copies of all my security footage. Every threat, every attack, the firebombing, tonight's attempted assault, all of it. Your local protection won't mean much to them." Duke regains consciousness with a groan, tugging uselessly at his restraints. "You're dead," he mumbles through bloody lips. "When we get out—" "You'll what?" Maya interrupts. "Come back again? Try to burn down my diner? Been there. Done that. How'd it work out for you?" The sirens grow louder. Red and blue lights begin to flash on the horizon, reflecting off the broken windows. Maya stands in the center of her ruined diner, shotgun ready, Dino alert at her side. The gang lies helpless around her, their reign of terror ended by the woman they'd mistaken for prey. The state police swarm the diner like angry hornets, flashlights cutting through the smoke-stained air. Maya stands calmly, lowering her shotgun as they enter. Dino sits obediently at her side, watching the officers with alert eyes but remaining still at Maya's command. "Ma'am, are you all right?" A female trooper approaches, her badge catching the harsh light. "I'm fine," Maya responds, gesturing to the bound men on the floor. They're all secured. None of their injuries are critical, but some might need medical attention. The scene transforms into organized chaos. EMTs rush in to check the gang members. Crime scene technicians photograph everything, marking evidence. Maya hands over her phone and points out the hidden cameras, explaining how she's documented weeks of harassment and violence. "This is extremely thorough," the lead investigator comments, scrolling through the footage. His eyebrows rise as he watches the firebombing video. "And you say Sheriff Tate refused to help?" "Refused?" Maya lets out a bitter laugh. "He threatened to arrest me for defending myself. Said I was the troublemaker." As if on cue, tires crunch on gravel outside. Sheriff Tate's cruiser pulls up, its headlights sweeping across the scene. He storms in, face red with anger, but stops short at the sight of state police. "Now hold on just a minute," he blusters, trying to take control. "This is my jurisdiction. I'll handle—" "Actually, Sheriff," a suited man steps forward, flashing a badge. "This is now a state investigation. We've received quite a collection of evidence suggesting you've been protecting this gang's operations." The color drains from Tate's face. Behind him, more unmarked cars pull up. Investigators in windbreakers marked FBI exit the vehicles, carrying boxes and equipment. "We've been monitoring this highway corridor for months," the FBI agent continues. "Ms. Brooks's evidence was the final piece we needed. Sheriff Tate, please turn around and place your hands behind your back." Maya watches with quiet satisfaction as the sheriff is handcuffed and led away, his protests falling on deaf ears. The gang members, now treated and restrained properly, follow him into various patrol cars. By morning, news vans clog the highway. Reporters stand in front of the damaged diner, recounting how a former Marine single-handedly brought down a criminal operation and exposed police corruption. Maya's security footage plays on every local channel, then national ones. "Former Marine defends diner against criminal gang," the headlines read. "Corrupt sheriff arrested in highway crime ring." Social media explodes with the videos. Comments pour in praising Maya's courage, calling her a hero. The community's response overwhelms her. People she's never met show up with cleaning supplies and tools, helping to clear the debris. Contractors offer their services at cost. Her regular customers start a fundraiser that goes viral, raising more money than she needs for repairs. Your grandmother would be so proud. Mrs. Chen, a longtime customer, tells her while helping sweep up broken glass. She always said this place was more than just a diner. It's a landmark, a safe haven. Maya works alongside the volunteers, Dino never far from her side. The dog has become something of a local celebrity himself, with people bringing him treats and taking pictures. He accepts the attention regally, but remains focused on his primary duty, protecting Maya. The rebuilding takes weeks. Maya uses the time to upgrade everything, installing better security, modernizing the kitchen, but keeping the classic feel her grandmother loved. The counter still has the same warm wood grain, now refinished to a soft glow. The windows are larger, letting in more light. The walls, once scarred with hate, shine with fresh paint. Local artists paint a mural on the side wall, a tribute to 3 generations of Brooks women who've run the diner. Maya's grandmother smiles down from the artwork, her kind eyes watching over the highway just as they always had. On opening day, the parking lot overflows. People come from miles around, some just to shake Maya's hand, others to thank her for standing up when no one else would. Veterans arrive in groups, greeting her with respectful nods and quiet words of praise. A small brass plaque appears by the door, installed by the local business association. Brooks's Diner, standing strong since 1962. Below it, someone has added a handwritten note, home of the bravest coffee in town. The morning rush settles into a steady stream of customers. Maya moves between tables, pouring coffee, taking orders, exchanging smiles with familiar faces. Dino lounges behind the counter in his usual spot, alert but relaxed. News comes that the gang members have all pleaded guilty, facing long sentences. Sheriff Tate's trial date is set, with federal prosecutors confident about their case. The highway feels safer, cleaner somehow, as if Maya's stand washed away years of accumulated darkness. She takes a break during the afternoon lull, settling onto her favorite stool at the counter. Fresh coffee steams in her grandmother's old mug, the one that survived the fire, still bearing its faded "World's Best Grandma" inscription. Sunlight streams through the new windows, casting warm patterns across the freshly tiled floor. The diner hums with life, coffee brewing, bacon sizzling, quiet conversations mixing with the gentle click of silverware on plates. Maya reaches down to scratch behind Dino's ears, earning a contented sigh from the big dog. She takes a sip of coffee, letting the familiar warmth fill her. Around her, her grandmother's legacy doesn't just survive. It thrives, stronger for having been tested, more precious for having been defended. The bell above the door chimes softly as new customers enter. Maya smiles, feeling truly at peace for the first time in weeks. Justice has been served, not just for her, but for everyone who's ever faced bullies and corruption and refused to back down. I hope you enjoyed that story. Please share it with your friends and subscribe so that you do not miss out on the next one. In the meantime, I have handpicked 2 stories for you that I think you will enjoy. Have a great day.